As the geostrategic environment in the Asia-Pacific region grows increasingly complex and contested, the Royal Australian Navy is undertaking an incredibly ambitious expansion of its surface fleet. At the center of this transformation is the Hunter-class frigate, designed primarily to serve as a blue-water submarine hunter. The Hunter class is intended to project Australian maritime power across vast oceans. However, these vessels are not single-mission platforms. They are heavily armed, multi-purpose warships able to contribute significantly to fleet air defense, surface warfare, and land attack missions as well. The Australian surface fleet is moving from lighter, patrol-focused frigates to heavy, densely armed surface combatants that can survive and fight in a high-intensity conflict. To understand the Hunter class is to understand the future of Australian sea control and the often difficult realities of domestic warship procurement for Australia. The story of the Hunter class begins with the pressing need to replace the ANZAC class frigate. These older ships have been the reliable workhorses of the Royal Australian Navy since the mid-1990s. While the ANZAC vessels have received extensive upgrades over their lifespan, the rapidly proliferating threat of quiet nuclear submarines in the Pacific Basin demanded a dedicated, more modern replacement. Following a highly competitive evaluation process, the Australian government selected a modified version of the Global Combat Ship designed by the British defence company BAE Systems. In the UK, this baseline design is known as the Type 26 frigate, which is currently being built to replace the Royal Navy's own fleet of submarine hunters. The Type 26 design was chosen by Australia because it offered a large acoustically quiet hull designed from the keel up for anti-submarine warfare. However, Australia did not simply buy a British warship off the shelf. The design has been substantially modified to incorporate American combat systems and Australian radar technologies. The result is a unique vessel tailored specifically to Australian strategic requirements. The sheer scale of the Hunter class is one of its most defining characteristics. While officially designated as frigates, their physical footprint dwarfs traditional vessels of that classification. Each ship measures just over 150 meters in length and features a beam of nearly 21 meters. Fully loaded, the Hunter class will displace around 8,800 tons. This makes them larger than the 7,000-ton Hobart-class destroyers in Australian service, which is interesting. It's a huge increase from the 3,600 tons of the ANZACs. One could argue that this massive displacement makes a certain level of sense. It is required to house the large suite of domestic developed radars, heavy weaponry, and enough fuel and provisions to sustain operations over a 7,000 nautical mile range. By being significantly larger than required, given the currently desired level of capabilities, the Hunter class is also future-proofed to an extent. The extra displacements will enable the easy integration of future technology and weapons as they arise. To push this vessel through the water at an impressive top speed exceeding 27 knots, the design uses a combined diesel-electric or gas propulsion system. In this arrangement, two powerful electric motors provide quiet propulsion for low-speed submarine hunting, receiving their power from 4 MTU diesel generators. When rapid acceleration or high-speed transit is required, a massive Rolls-Royce MT-30 gas turbine is engaged. This turbine delivers immense mechanical power directly to the ship's two fixed-pitch propellers. This unique combination ensures the vessel can operate fairly silently when finding submarines, but sprint when evasive action or rapid redeployment is necessary. Operating this machinery and the ship's combat systems will be a standard crew of around 180 personnel. The number includes the embarked aviation detachments, though the ship has total accommodation available for over 200 sailors. Because the primary mandate of the Hunter class is anti-submarine warfare, the vessel is essentially a delivery system for its highly advanced acoustic sensors and anti-submarine weapons. The hull itself is engineered specifically to minimize acoustic signature. This reduces the machinery noise radiating into the water, making the ship harder to find by enemy submarines. The ship's primary set of gears is a highly capable dual-layered sonar system. Below the waterline sits the S-2150 hull-mounted sonar, which provides active and passive acoustic monitoring around the vessel. However, hull-mounted sonars are often limited by the thermal layers and the salinity layers in the ocean, which can bend sound waves and allow submarines to hide safely beneath them. To counter this environmental challenge, the Hunter class is equipped with the S-2087 towed array and, most importantly, variable depth sonar system. This incredibly capable sensor suite is trailed behind the ship and lowered deep beneath the surface. By penetrating these thermal layers, the variable depth sonar can detect quiet submarines lurking in the deeper ocean columns. Once a hostile submarine is detected, the Hunter frigate has multiple options for engagement. For close-range encounters, which hopefully should be avoided, the ship is armed with the lightweight MU-90 impact torpedoes fired from twin deck-mounted tubes. However, a warship generally prefers to prosecute a submarine from a safe distance to avoid retaliation. For long-range engagement, the Hunter relies entirely on its embarked helicopter. The ship features a large flight deck and a spacious hangar designed to operate the MH-60R Seahawk, widely considered one of the most capable naval helicopters in the world. The Seahawk acts as a remote, highly mobile extension of the frigate's sensors. It can fly miles away from the host ship, drop acoustic sonar buoys into the water to triangulate the enemy, and then engage the target with its own Mark 54 air-launched torpedoes. Beyond the helicopter itself, the Hunter class incorporates a highly flexible mission bay. This large internal space can accommodate uncrewed autonomous systems or additional small craft. This bay effectively future-proofs the ship as autonomous surface and underwater drone technology continues to evolve. The flexible mission bay has basically become standard on all state-of-the-art surface combatant designs. While its primary focus remains steadfastly beneath the waves, a modern warship cannot defend other ships in a high-end conflict without formidable air defenses. In this arena, the Australian modifications to the British baseline design are the most apparent. At the heart of the ship's air defense capability is the CEAFAR2 phased array radar suite, designed and manufactured entirely in Australia. Unlike older rotating radars, this active, electronically scanned array system uses flat, fixed panels built directly into the ship's mast to provide continuous 360-degree coverage. The CEAFAR2 suite is essentially 3 distinct radars operating as one cohesive unit. It includes a long wavelength L-band radar intended for long-range volume search to detect incoming aircraft and missiles at extreme distances. It uses an S-band radar for mid-range tracking and fire control. Finally, it incorporates an X-band radar for target illumination and the terminal guidance of air defense missiles. This immense stream of sensor data is processed by the AEGIS Combat System, the premier naval air defense system used by the US Navy. Because AEGIS was originally designed for American cruisers and destroyers, a bespoke Australian software interface built by SAB is used to integrate the combat system perfectly with the ship's unique sensors. When the CEAFAR2 radar detects an incoming anti-ship missile, the AEGIS system calculates the intercept trajectory and commands the ship's weapons. The primary magazine for these weapons is a 32-cell Mark 41 vertical launching system situated prominently on the forward deck. From these cells, the hunter can fire the Standard Missile 2, which is designed to intercept high-altitude and medium-range aerial threats. For closer, more immediate threats, the vertical launch cells can be packed with evolved Sea Sparrow missiles. These highly agile interceptors can be quad-packed, meaning 4 missiles fit into a single cell. This quad-packing ability increases the ship's defensive magazine depth. To engage enemy warships if required, the frigates will be armed with the Naval Strike Missile. The sea-skimming high subsonic cruise missile features stealth characteristics and an infrared seeker, which by nature do not emit any signals of its own. This increases the difficulty for enemy air defenses to detect and intercept. For closer surface engagements, coastal suppression, and secondary anti-aircraft duties, the ship mounts a heavy 127mm Mark 45 Mod 4 naval gun. This weapon provides a significant caliber upgrade over the smaller guns currently fitted to the older ANZAC class, giving the hunter potent firepower in littoral environments. Despite these incredibly impressive technical specifications, the Hunter class program has been affected by controversies, especially related to cost. Originally announced as a 35 billion Australian dollar project to construct 9 vessels, the program has experienced significant cost blowouts and delays. Integrating the heavy American AEGIS and the Australian CEAFAR2 radar onto the British Type 26 hull proved to be a major engineering challenge. These extensive modifications added significant top weight to the design. This forced naval architects to broaden the beam and increase the overall displacement to maintain the ship's structural stability and safety parameters. This necessary but extensive redesign phase heavily delayed the commencement of construction and drove the total program cost estimate well past $40 billion. The spiraling cost and delayed timelines ultimately prompted the Australian government to commission an independent surface fleet review, which handed down its consequential findings in early 2024. To address the delays and free up capital to fund a new class of smaller general-purpose frigates, the review recommended drastically cutting the Hunter class order from 9 ships down to a total of 6. This decision fundamentally altered the Navy's procurement strategy. The government is now prioritizing getting a larger number of smaller ships into the water sooner, while reserving the heavy, complex Hunter class exclusively for the highest-end anti-submarine missions. Despite this reduction in total vessel numbers, the industrial effort required to build these 6 ships remains monumental. The vessels are being constructed by BAE Systems Maritime Australia at the Osborne Naval Shipyard in South Australia. This project is the absolute cornerstone of the nation's continuous naval shipbuilding enterprise. Following a lengthy prototyping phase designed to upskill the local workforce and test the shipyard's domestic supply chains, the actual construction and cutting of steel for the first ship, the HMAS Hunter, finally commenced in the middle of 2024. Given the extreme complexity of the build and the integration of highly sensitive systems, this lead vessel is not expected to be commissioned and fully operational until the early 2030s. This means 7 to 8 years of construction time for the first frigate. The Hunter-class frigate represents a fascinating case study in modern naval acquisition. When these ships eventually sail with the Australian Navy, they will arguably be the most capable anti-submarine frigate in the world, with substantial secondary roles in air defense and surface action. However, the path to the water has been painful. It perfectly illustrates the steep financial price an aspiring naval power must pay to build a sovereign shipbuilding base, which is required to build top-tier warships. The sheer cost and the timeline delays of the Hunter class reflects the need for this investment and the harsh realities of naval engineering. However, the Hunter class appears to be a very capable anti-submarine warfare platform and is well designed to ensure that anything hiding in the dark waters below remains decisively in its crosshairs.